What's up, everybody? Up in guitar learning YouTube land. Um, this is my third try. I've been having some problems with my microphone and all that, and I didn't know that you were limited to 15 minutes, so I'm gonna try to squeeze this in. But I've had some requests for a more in-depth lesson of my version of "Up on a Roof." James Taylor does his own cover of it, and I like James Taylor's style, so I kind of did my own version of the song in his style. And this lesson will employ a lot of James Taylor's tactics, and I'll try to go over some of them with you. I'm going to do for you the intro and the first verse, and try to slow that down, and hopefully this helps you to learn how to play this song, or maybe in that style, or both. So again, we're capoed over here on the third fret, in case you didn't already know. Anytime I reference chords, they are going to all be reference basically to the capo. So if I say E minor, I know that with the capo it is a different chord, but we're going to just pretend and use it with the capo as such. So the intro is 4-chord sequence, and it utilizes James Taylor uses lots of bass note line melodies. A bass note melody line is basically using the bass notes of chords and creating basically a melody line with those bass notes while still kind of playing the chords with it. The chords to the intro are E minor, D/F sharp, G, and A minor 7. But the bass line you'll see for those 4 chords is open low E, F sharp, G, open A. So again, that's the bass note melody line that's going on in the intro. And so basically you're just adding little fills of the chords that go along and coincide with that bass note melody line. I'll play it one time for you, and then I'll try to go and slow it down a little bit more and try to add those little bit of fills that kind of go with it. So basically, when you play that E note chord, if you hammer on the note right below the shaped chord, which is the G string, 2nd fret, you get that sound. That kind of plays off the E minor, so you get. Then you move to the next bass note, which is the F sharp, and then you're playing the top of a D chord down there. And then you move to the next bass note, which is G, and then you're going to actually open up the bottom part, so you're only really playing that note, all these other strings are open. And you do another little and there's a doubling of that last note, as you notice. And the next bass note is that A, and part of an A minor 7 where this finger is up. So you have a. So those 4 chords, again played, would be. Now, it doesn't have to be played exactly like that. That's just kind of how I hear it, and what I think to be the notes that are being played. But any kind of version, any kind of a style of those chords is going to be pretty close, and depending on how much detail, how much finger picking you want to do with it. So, again, the 4 chords for the intro: E minor, D/F sharp, G, A minor 7. From there, we're going to move to the actual verse, and the chords in the verse, we'll go through them, are D, B minor 7, F minor 7, E minor 7, notice all these 7s, and then a slash chord, and a chord that James Taylor employs frequently, and it is a G slash A chord, where we're using the bottom part of a G chord, a G major bar chord, and instead of G being the bass note is the open A string, so this part, I'm only barring down here, the bottom part of the finger, whereas the top part is away from the guitar, up that way. So that allows that open A string to be my bass note, even though I'm still playing the bottom of the G major bar chord. So again, those chords are D, D minor 7, F sharp, E minor 7, E minor 7, and then G slash A. You can kind of hear how that's going with the how it's doing the song. Well, anyway, now the difference between just playing these chords, D moving just from chord to chord, is fine, but I like to employ a little tactic, which is basically you hit the bass note of the chord that you're currently playing, and you hit it right before you transition to the next chord. So say I'm playing my G, or excuse me, my D here. This is the opening bass note of the D chord. So right before I go to that next chord, which is the D minor 7, right before I transition to that bass note, because the bass note we're using as part of a D minor 7 chord would be this note, which is the A string 2nd fret. So right before I go from that open D to that B note, I'm going to hit that D note, and it creates kind of this leading feel to it. So I'll just do it here for you slowly, and hopefully you'll get through the beat. So, bum, bum, and then we'll go bum, 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 bum. So there's that doubling of that bass note kind of right before you transition chord. So we're playing our D. Bum, 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 bum. So you can see here where basically you're getting this bass note melody line again, and then arpeggioing essentially the chords that go with it. So the bass note of the D chord, the bass note of the D minor 7, the bass note of an F minor 7, which is the low E on the 2nd fret, to the bass note which is of the E minor 7 chord, which is just the open low E string, and it's a 7 because this finger is down. Take that away, it's E minor. Put it down, E minor 7. So that bass note, and then that A bass note, which is part of that G slash A chord. So, and basically after you get to that G slash A chord, there's a little turnaround, and James Taylor does this little thingy where you get that, and all you're doing right there is a D, and then another chord he plays all the time, which is some kind of a G, basically D and A chord, where you just put your ring finger, your middle finger down right below your pointing finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, and you still play the same plucking sequence like you were plucking on the D chord. So you get that right back to the D. And then if you slide the G string from the 2nd to the 4th fret, and then you bar the bottom strings, and you slide it again up 2 frets, and you bar again. That's all that is. So then you're going to just resolve right back to that D chord, which is the first chord of the sequence. Now, when you get to that same, once you get all the way up to that chord, instead of doing that little slidey thing, you're going to do something that leads you to the next part of the song, the chorus. So instead of the, you're going to do one of these. Oh shit, excuse me. And those chords where you're doing that little D thing, and then you're going to go to that G/A chord, where that's the bass note, then to a regular A chord, and then back to that D. So you get the, once you do that little slidey thing and it resolves all the way back to that first D chord, you're going to go through the same style, same riff. And then you're going to do your D thing. Again, that G/A chord, A chord, back to the D, and then that will then take you to the next part of the song, which is the "Go on, peaceful as can be." And that would be, I guess, the chorus. And I'll do that in part 2 of this little tutorial, but we're going to just stick with the intro and the verse for now. So, again, just in review of the verse, your chords: D, E minor 7, F sharp minor 7, E minor 7, and then that slash chord, G/A. You have that, hit that bass note right before you get to the next chord, just a moment ahead of time, and then lead into the bass note of that next chord, and you get that cool effect with that. Bum, 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 bum. So that should about cover it. Again, I will go and try to do the chorus and bridge or whatever and ending of the song. But I hope that helps. Again, you don't always have to try to play it exactly in that style, but you're going to pick up some of these tactics and use some of these chords, and your playing will end up kind of being your own version of James Taylor or whoever that you like to play in that kind of style. And I did a lot of arpeggioing of chords, where that is basically you're just picking apart the notes of the chord. E minor is a chord like that, but you can also play the individual notes of that chord, and that's arpeggioing. So a lot of that was going on in this lesson as well. So again, I hope that helps. Look for part 2 and continue rocking on in James Taylor style, and I look forward to putting some more lessons